So today on the 46 Dodge truck I'm going to work on this bed, and I put that support in there in the middle, and I had one for over here in back of the tires, and it won't fit anymore because I got this fuel tank in there and the air stuff, and I don't want to throw that piece out, so I'm thinking I'm going to put that in the back right under the tailgate, and I'm going to add some pieces on there so that it goes up inside of the sides of the bed, because the sides of these beds on these old trucks are pretty flimsy compared to the newer trucks. They don't have all the side support. So I'm going to redo those back mounts and make it so I can slip that bar up inside of the rear of the sides of the bed. Okay, I got this thing clamped every way I could possibly think of to keep things from moving. And I'm trying to make this bed mount. And you can see that piece of cardboard right there that I'm trying to use as a template. And that's going to connect that piece of 1 inch square tube that's 1/8 inch thick to those pieces of 1/8 inch plate. And that piece of 1/8 inch plate on the top with the small holes in it. That's the template that I used to mount the roll bar. So the roll bar is going to come back, it's going to sit on top of that. And well, first the bed floor is going to sit on top of it, and then the roll bar is going to sit on top of that. Okay, so there's part of my bed mount. I take that plate and drill 4 holes in it, and put weld nuts on it and prepare it for the roll bar that's going to be on top of that. But that's pretty much how the bed mount's going to be. I just have to weld it onto that 1 inch tube. I got the other one over here, and then once I get that plate all drilled and everything, then I'll prepare to put the roll bar up there and connect it on to the cab. So there's the 2 bed mounts and the nut plate. You see I still have to weld that nut plate in, and I'll have to cut the corner off. It's sticking out a bit along there. And then I have these plates down here which are going to go onto the roll bar, and they'll bolt onto here, and that'll connect the roll bar into the bed, and then the roll bar will connect into the frame. I'll have the roll bar connecting right in here with a rubber bushing, and then it'll go up, and I'm going to cut a square hole in the back of the cab, and I'll seal that up with rubber. So that's my welding setup. Then I'm going to weld it underneath the bottom down here, down underneath of there. I'll catch all the bottoms, and then I'll take it all apart and do the tops. So that's my bed support, and all I got to do now is put some bolts coming down this way, maybe 4 bolts, 2 there and 2 there, and then 2 over here, 2 over there. And that'll hold the support that's going to hold the sides of the bed up. So that's a pretty reasonable piece. It's easy to move around and easy for me to assemble the bed. So now I'm trying to decide what to do with the back of the bed here. I don't know if you could see all this, but it's bent in. Every one of those bolt holes is bent in. So I'm going to run some 1/8 inch plate up inside of there. I'm going to get all the dents out first, which is going to be a job. And I'm going to connect that 1/8 inch plate that I run up inside of there onto that cross member for the bed. So I'm finding all the spot welds and drilling them out. I'm going to take that piece off. So there it is with all the spot welds drilled out. It looks pretty good. It's pretty flat. I didn't beat it up too bad. And this piece is not so good. You see there's a pretty big hole right there. And it's really warped in here. And that's why I'm going to stick the 1/8 inch up inside of there and box that in there. So I got some parts from airbagit.com. Seems like a pretty good company. And I had this separator. I think about the only thing I'm missing now is a check valve for the tank. I've got this this little switch here that'll turn the pump on and off when it hits 150 pounds. I have this gauge which has 2 needles on it, and I'm going to go kind of old school and run 2 lines into the cab so I know what the bags have in each side on the right and left rear. And I got this little manifold, and it separates the air onto the left and right side. And then I have these 2 valves that when I press those switches, it will only put air in the bag if the bag needs the air. So I'm going to try to make a plate to install this manifold. So there's the 2 pieces of plate I put in there in order to hold up that manifold. I'll give you a shot from below. So there it is underneath. I have to take the tanks off in order to get to the manifold, but I kind of pictured I'm going to put the compressor in first, and then the manifold, and then connect the tank and stick the tank up in. So can you see that switch down in there? Right down in there. It's almost as if I planned that, but I didn't. Just kind of worked out pretty good that it doesn't hit into the manifold. So there's my bracket all welded up. Not the greatest bracket I ever did, but it's kind of thrown together of a bunch of little pieces of junk, and it'll work. So I played around for about 20 minutes trying to make some kind of a template to make these brackets, and I think I found a good place to put these valves, and they're going to be out of the way hopefully and not bottom out or get hit with anything. So we'll see how this goes. So there's one of the brackets that holds the valve up that levels the truck for the air suspension, and there's the other one, and I'll show you when I stick the valves on what it looks like. So there's the valve up in there. I still have to get some joints, and I got to join the end of that thing down onto the ladder bar at the bottom, and so that it's going to be set up so it goes up about 1 inch and down about 4 inches. So I'm working on the back of the bed, and I have the back bed mounts in, and you see I put that metal piece I made with the 1 by 1 by 1/8 square tube, and now I'm making these pieces here which are going to go up inside of these bed supports, keep everything square so that the back of the bed doesn't bounce around, because unless you have the tailgate up on these old trucks, the back of the bed doesn't have much structure. So you can see what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to put these pieces of sheet on there. That's 1/8 inch plate, and I'm connecting them onto that bed support, and then they're going to go up inside of these bed supports on the side, but I got to get rid of these connectors going across there. And I don't know what I'm going to do with this one over here, because this one's pretty nice. I kind of hate to take it off to do that, but it doesn't look like there's an easy way to get those pieces out of this one. The other one was crushed by people putting bolts through and squishing it together, and there's really nothing inside of it. And this one's in pretty good shape. I guess I'm going to take it off anyways. So I got that bed support off, and you can see that the one on the passenger side is much better than the one on the driver's side. Almost hated to take it off, but at least I can get that stuff off the inside of it easy. And you can see what I'm trying to do with this now. I'm trying to come up inside there, and I'm going to put some spreaders across there that are threaded, and then the tailgate will bolt into that, so there'll be support directly down into the bed mounts. And then I'm going to put 4 bolts from the big support I'm putting on now onto that piece of 1-inch tube. So I drilled all these pieces out, and I guess basically there was just a piece of wood stuck up in the bottom under here, and it was bolted up through. And I only need 2 of these holes, and the rest are all just extra holes from these parts that I took off. And somebody must have tried to attach something there, and there's some additional holes on the other side, so I got to patch all these holes. And I think I need just 1 hole up here additional, which is going to be because I'm trying to attach them to these pieces that I made. And I'm going to have a bolt up here somewhere with a tube spacer going across those 2 1/8 inch plates, and I'm going to have 2 tube spacers down here, and they'll be threaded, and that'll hold this on. So I shouldn't have any squeezing on the sides. It's going to bow the sides of this thing. That's make it a lot better. Trying to get some good shots of this thing before I fix it. And if you could see all these waves, looks really, really bad. Here's the other side. So made a little progress. I shrunk all those bolt holes, because when they put the bolt in, it kind of pulled the metal down in because there was no metal to support it. It was just empty sheet metal. I don't know what they were bolting on there. I guess tail lights or something that kept falling off the truck over the years. And so now that I shrunk it, there's a dip in the middle, and so I'm supporting it with this piece of plate and this piece of round. And that way I can hit down on the left side of that, and that should straighten out that leg. Hopefully it'll be fairly flat when I'm done. So this part still looks like Swiss cheese, but I got a lot of the dents out of it. I don't know how well you can see that. It's getting better. This is still the bad side. And I got to get these rust holes out. So I'm going to clean it up now, and I'm going to try to patch a lot of these holes up. So this is the passenger side. It's a little bit better than the driver's side one. Not as much rust. Now, yeah, I heated and shrunk some of those bolt holes because they were pushed down in. And here's the other side of it. So that's mainly just a bunch of holes I got to fill. This one isn't so bad. So there's what I'm doing to weld these. Got a piece of copper on there and it's clamped on. And I'm using this heavier rod. It's like 1/8 inch just because it melts pretty quick and fills in the hole fast. But I'll have to grind a little more. But I want to get rid of the rod because I don't use it anyways. So I'm doing about that much, and then I blow air on it until I can touch it. And I keep the part real cool so it doesn't warp. So I got a little bit greedy with the heat on that one there, and you can see the copper stuck. But what I'm using is just a piece of copper pipe beat in half. And it worked really good as long as I just do 3 tacks on each hole. You can see they're pretty flat. So I just have some grinding to do, a little bit there and some on the outside, and they'll be flat again. So I cut this piece out because there's going to be more weld than metal if I would have left it in there. So I'm just going to fill that with another piece of metal. So now I got not nearly as much filling as I would have had the last time. Would have had to really fill a lot of holes. Oh, and by the way, I'm not putting the normal taillights on this, so don't worry about me welding up the taillight holes. So here's where I am with these bed supports. Welding isn't the greatest, but I'm going to grind it all off anyways. Just trying to get it done pretty quickly without warping everything. And I'm going to show you where I'm at with the air, and I think I'm going to wind this up. And so here's where I'm at with the air system. Didn't totally finish, but you can see I got my bracket down there. I got it mounted. I'm coming over here into the tanks. From the tanks I still have to put a line on, going back over into the manifold. And then I got these 2 valves, and they're mounted. Something like that. So I just got to get this thing all plumbed up and get the bed back together, and I'll have some progress done. So that's it for now. Bye.